far, as we're just waiting another minute or two for everyone to be able to log in. And there is a question that will this recording be posted? Yes, we will. We will post it after the event so that those who weren't able to join us live can listen later on. And great to see folks from all over the world here joining in, from South Korea to Brazil, throughout Europe as well. Oh, great. I think we'll get started, everybody. So again, a huge welcome to all of our several hundred participants here this afternoon for our webinar, Measure, Manage, and Maximize Your Impact, a dialogue with the social economy. So I'm pleased to welcome you. Maybe you can just, hopefully you can see my face on your screens as well. So my name is Karen McGuire, and I'm the head of a division here at the OECD that manages the Local Employment and Economic Development Program. And the LEAD program really tries to identify practical solutions to building vibrant communities with innovative approaches to job creation, social inclusion, and economic growth. And we're pleased to have this Local Development Forum webinar here today. The LEAD program has believed in the potential of the social economy for quite a long time. In fact, over the last 2 decades, the LEAD program has really been producing different activities, from policy advice and capacity building activities and all sorts of knowledge on the social economy. And we've really seen quite an increase in the attention that governments at all levels are giving to the social economy, which even at the OECD has led in 2022 to a recommendation for governments at the highest level, an OECD recommendation on the social and solidarity economy and social innovation. And in the 9 building blocks of this recommendation, one of them is, of course, impact measurement and monitoring. So we're really pleased today to launch a new guide, Measure, Manage, and Maximize Your Impact, a guide for the social economy. It is really a joint effort, and so we're really pleased to work actively with the European Commission to offer this guidance for social economy entities to really understand what are the different approaches and methods used to understand social impact measurement, to practice it in your social economy organization, and then how to use it in your management decisions, as well as how to maximize its impact in your daily work. And we'll have from the Commission Ms. Ruth Basserman in a minute, who will talk, I'm sure, about the EU level activities and the Social Economy Action Plan. But I just wanted to say before I pass the floor that I'm really excited about this guide, because it really looks at what are the challenges out there, but also the practical solutions that can be used to address them. So we really want this to be a resource guide for social economy entities and looking at how to think about their impact management journey. It requires culture change. It requires understanding what methods are out there. Sometimes you work on these things internally in the social economy entity. Sometimes you might have outside parties helping you, but the most important thing is that it's useful for boosting the social impact, which is the core mission of the social economy entity. So we'll have this brief presentation of the guide just to familiarize yourselves with it. And I know colleagues will put a link to it. It's accessible online, so all of you can access it and take a look while we're presenting it and discussing it today. And I'd like to thank Irene Bazili and Melis Aslan, who are the lead authors of the guide, and of course the many other colleagues from social economy entities, the Commission, and others who have been very active in contributing to the guide's development. So we'll have the presentation of the guide, and then we'll hear and have a debate and discussion with different stakeholders in the social economy and social finance space. So I'd like to thank Catherine Bolli from Belgium, Cyril Langendorf from France, Ruben Serenac Padilla from Spain, and Tommaso Deledero from Italy, who are joining us today for the discussion. So without further ado, I'd like to pass the floor now to Ms. Ruth Basserman, who is a Director for Funds, Programming, and Implementation in the Directorate General for Employment, Social Affairs, and Inclusion of the European Commission. So Ruth, please, again, it was a great partnership to develop this guide, and look forward to your remarks.
Thank you. Thank you very much for welcoming and for allowing me to launch this guide, which is an excellent guide, and also our cooperation with the OECD is excellent. I will this, as you mentioned, this guide was originally was initially announced in the Social Economy Action Plan, which is a very comprehensive action plan to develop the social economy throughout the EU, which was launched in, I think, December 21 by now. I can't remember. Anyway, and this was the starting point. Now, you see, the Social Economy Action Plan has lots of initiatives of looking at how we can improve the social economy across the board, to starting for countries where there is not a lot of knowledge and recognition of social economy enterprises, to where one would want to develop, the maximum at the frontier of knowledge. And indeed, the Social Economy Action Plan acknowledges how an improved understanding of social impact measurement methodologies can enable social economy to communicate its impact, and therefore also to access finance more easily. And this guide is, exactly as Karen mentioned before, is really looking at making sense of the diversity of tools and resources which are available and which are relatively difficult to navigate for social economy operators. And this makes it easier also to look at the overall view. Now, I don't really want to talk so much about why social impact measurement is very important, and why also social impact management and management can reinforce the identity of social economy actors. I want to focus with my few words just on one aspect, which is the issue of that social impact measurement and management is not only a reporting exercise. When we talk about reporting in the financial world, the logic is to have more transparency and to ensure that there is not, how do you say, social washing, let's say, right? So that you have initiatives which are considered social are really have a social input. So when we therefore, though, the word reporting sounds as compliance, if you see what I mean. I mean, in this corporate sense. Well, for social economy, this is not what we're looking at. We're not looking at an aspect of compliance, but we're looking at really what is socioeconomic doing to build actionable knowledge for innovation, for improvement, and for continuous learning. So that this really helps us really understand and appreciate the idea of social impact maximization. This is the key, one of the pillars of this study, how to look at social impact maximization. And this is important because then it really makes us understand how the social economy can be an agent for change. Social impact maximization not only allows us to improve the immediate social results of a social economy organization, but it also helps scaling up, potentially at a systemic model level, the generated social impact. And that is why it is important also in the framework of the Social Economy Action Plan, because it allows, it really allows, I mean, to think of systemic impact and systemic effects throughout the economy of social economy enterprises. And as I said from the beginning, this is the logic of the Social Economy Action Plan that we're working on. So this is one of the deliverables, if you want, of the Social Action Plan. This is a first step, the study. And then, of course, the next step is that it is actually useful for all of you and therefore also used. So with this, I would really like to wish you a very, very useful and interesting meeting today to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pazerman, and we're very happy to continue the collaboration with the European Commission on this guide as well. So as Karen mentioned, I will be giving a quick look at the guide before we go into the panel. Let me just pull up the slides. And I hope everybody can see my screen. So, dear participants, we're very excited to meet today, both to listen to the very interesting and timely conversation that is going to take place with both social economy representatives and social finance actors, but also to launch this latest guide on social impact measurement. So Measure, Manage, and Maximize Your Impact is a guide developed by the European Commission and the OECD to offer an easy-to-follow, step-by-step approach to social economy entities looking to measure and manage their impact. So in the next couple of minutes, I'll try to give a quick peep into what this guide is about. And of course, you may access the guide online through the link that will be provided in the chat. As the OECD, we have been focusing a lot on social impact measurement as a strategic tool to recognize and showcase social economy's contribution to society. We also take the impact journey as a self-learning exercise where entities can learn about their strengths and weaknesses while measuring and managing their impact, which can in turn help them maximize their value creation. As we're seeing more and more examples of social economy policy at local, national, and regional level from around the world, we base our approach to social economy developments based on the OECD recommendation in line with the European Union Social Economy Action Plan and the Council recommendation. So the OECD recommendation was adopted by the OECD Council at the ministerial level in 2022, and it's built around 9 building blocks to help social economy thrive, one of which is encouraging impact measurement and monitoring. So to this end, we have been collaborating with the European Commission to produce knowledge and policy advice on how to increase the uptake of impact measurement among social economy entities. There is promising traction around impact measurement and management, which we both welcome as nice progress towards a shared understanding, but it also is a possible challenge as the different methods of measuring impact abound and can become confusing. So we set out to develop this guide due to a significant need we observed in the international impact negotiations. So they rarely take into account the specific needs and capacities of the social economy. Data availability is a common challenge when it comes to attempting to understand social impact. The use of standard metrics and frameworks or monetization techniques may not always address the specificities of social economy entities, which often work with hard-to-reach stakeholders with an impact on hard-to-quantify areas often. Measuring well-being, for example, is an area that still attracts a lot of attention to try to find different ways and approaches to capture accurately. Measurement and management may also divert attention and resources from the critical daily activities of social economy entities, which is a significant constraint as they may lack the financial and human resources to dedicate to measurement. And finally, imposing reporting requirements on social economy entities without actually providing much needed guidance and resources to undertake this practice may turn into a cumbersome exercise for many. So despite these challenges, impact measurement and management lies at the core of social economy entities as they're inherently driven to generate impact. And in this guide, we try to look at the specific areas where entities might need to measure their impact. We can think of 3 broad groups in this regard, and I remember seeing a question already in the chat about how to engage with particular groups such as migrants, for example. So we look at these 3 broad groups and we try to identify different impact areas and indicators. And these are economic prosperity and employment, social inclusion, and well-being and community. This guide offers a list of potential indicators that may be relevant for social economy entities to consider, such as exposure to the world of work for disadvantaged groups, dependency on welfare transfers, sense of belonging, and many more. So as we can observe already by looking at the small list, it's important to find tailored approaches to impact measurement for social economy, those that combine qualitative and quantitative methods and various sources of information, as social economy entities operate in areas that are both essential to local development and community cohesion, but also are very hard to capture only in numbers. So the guide is designed to accompany social economy entities along their impact journey. It is structured around three main pillars: impact measurement, management, and then maximization. And in this structure, measurement and management processes can be incorporated in a complementary manner into entities' decision-making to help capitalize on impact evidence to maximize further impact. And we separate the measurement into three cycles: designing the change strategy, collecting and analyzing data, and learning and sharing. And then we put forward 6 building blocks that foster impact management, such as stakeholder engagement, use of digital tools, and independent validation. And finally, these practices can hopefully help social economy entities capitalize on their efforts to grow organizationally, scale up if they want to, and increase their international presence, while increasing their impact on the same group or reaching more beneficiaries. And we finally propose 6 guiding principles that were co-constructed with social economy representatives and social impact measurement experts themselves to basically guide the measurement and management process of social economy entities. More concretely, the guide explores both mainstream approaches, such as establishing a theory of change, stakeholder mapping, or social return on investment, and social economy tailored adaptations, such as the poverty stoplight, outcome stars and outcome journals, social balance reporting, and so on. And it explains how these different methods can be implemented and lists the possible pros and cons for entities, as well as the requirements and needs in terms of data and skills they would imply. And the guide also presents potential success factors and pitfalls to avoid during each cycle of the measurement and management process. And finally, we conclude with 6 guiding principles, which were, as I said, co-constructed with experts and practitioners working in social economy and on social impact measurement. They include translating the social mission into a narrative of change, taking a holistic understanding of impact, deciding on what is intended and unintended, both positively and negatively, putting stakeholders at the center, but through an efficient stakeholder management strategy, upholding transparency on how data is collected and analyzed, minding proportionality so that the cost of measurement doesn't outweigh its benefits for entities with limited resources, and striving for continuous improvement to feed impact data into organizational learning. And all in all, these principles aim to voice a consensus around what is important and relevant for the social economy when it comes to impact measurement. This would be all from our side for now on the guide, and we invite all participants to check the link in the chat and take a look at the guide. We've been mentioning the importance of listening to the voice of social economy in international discussions, which is what we intend to do in the following panel. So I'd like to give the floor to Irene Basile, the lead of the guide and a policy analyst at the OECD, to start the panel discussion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Melis, for this very effective presentation. I invite all my fellow panelists, speakers to switch on their cameras, please. And I would like to welcome, in no specific order, first of all, Tommaso Dell'Era, who is project manager, at Liberi Tutti in Italy. Liberi Tutti is a social cooperative that promotes social, cultural, and economic inclusion of vulnerable groups in Turin, in Italy. We also have Karin Bolli, who is project manager at Concertes in Belgium. Concertes is the umbrella organization of the social economy in the French-speaking part of Belgium. Ruben Surinak Padilla, senior project management at the Xarxa de Economía Solidaria, which is another umbrella organization that represents the solidarity economy in Catalonia, in Spain. And finally, Cyril Langendorf, who is managing partner at Fee Trust, who is an historic investment fund, a social funder in France that supports unlisted social enterprises. So one by one, if we can start with Tommaso. Tommaso, welcome.
Hi, everybody.
You are the voice here of the typical work integration social enterprises. So if you can just tell us a few words about your organization and your impact measurement experience to start.
Yeah, of course, Liberi Tutti is a really omnicomprehensive in the third sector about service that derogate, because since 1999 the Liberi Tutti grows during the time and afford more and more services on migrants, older people, disabilities. Time after time, services that Liberi Tutti can derogate grow with the cooperative. And now we can say in the last 5 years, Liberi Tutti reached a really big growth, considering the resource that work with Liberi Tutti, all the ecosystem in which Liberi Tutti lives, made by other cooperative that have specific field of action. And now during the time, if before was simpler, we can say measure the impact of the services that we erogate because we were smaller. Now, considering this, the systemic approach of the services, considering the differentiation of the target, the complexity of the services erogated, measurement and managing the impact became more and more difficult. In fact, if we grow considering the services erogated in a way, we can consider that we are not evolved by, we can say, informative system or digital system at the same speed. So the lack between this growth generate a not efficiency and an efficiency in the way we can manage our impact. And managing impact is really important for us for have a more a better comprehension of the territory where we work, for better set up the new project that we design. Is not a question just of measure for understand, oh, I'm good to do this, not, but for improve, for correct the errors, for every time have the correct services for the right target. So we are really on it. We collaborate with ICON in the first phase of our of the last year, adopting the C-index model for trying to understand where our gap for better grow up and understand in which way we can evolve to manage this situation.
Thank you, Tommaso, for reminding us why we do this, why we're all here. No, it's very important. And we will talk more about ICON and the solution that they have developed. ICON is a think tank specialized on the social economy in Italy. So we will dig a bit more into this specific experience later. We have also two umbrella organizations that are very important for capacity building and for amplifying the voice of the social economy in those standard setting debates that Melis also mentioned. Catherine from Concertes, welcome.
Hello.
At Concertes, you have several years of experience. Can you tell us a bit more about why you work on impact measurement with your social economy members?
Yeah, thank you for the invitation first. I'm very pleased to be here and to have the voice to talk about social economy in the French-speaking part of Belgium. So, as you said, Concertes is the representative umbrella organization for social economy structures and also federations. And it's many years now, it's 10 years ago, mostly we are embarking in projects on social impact assessment and not really measurement. So we talk about assessment in our view because it's more qualitative, quantitative approach than a really reporting measurement. We started in 2016 with an Interreg project, VISE. VISE was involving French actors and also Belgian ones, and we started there with building a specific method, not a tool, but really a method and approach to assess the impact and social impact of social enterprises. And it's a research action based tool. I have time more to talk about it later. And then we were more working on the regional. So in Belgium, in Wallonia, we had some grants to pursue this project and to develop trainings, to develop research action, and to develop also the community of actors in the field. And we had another one in Wallonia, which was Valorise. The objective was to capitalize about the results of these approaches. And then we also had a European project about social utility, usefulness, I don't know the term. Utility and social impact. So we combined two notions to see if we can have a common language and develop trainings about that. So we are there for the moment.
Thank you, Catherine. Moving on to Ruben from Catalonia.
Hi. Yeah, and
Yes.
thanks for the invitation and congratulations for the guide. I think it's a very well done job. I come from CHES, which stands for Catalan Network on Solidarity Economy, and we've been developing the social balance project for the last 10-12 years. And the Catalan Network has 350 affiliates, social solidarity economy organizations, and we are also part of the Spanish Confederation on Solidarity Economy, and it's mainly through this work at the Spanish level that we've been expanding all the social balance and all the reporting on standards, on ESG standards. So I would say that our experience is based on is a story of collaboration between different regions. We were developing tools and standards in the Basque Country, in Madrid, in Catalonia. And in 2014, we decided to join our efforts. And this joint effort mainly was based on a common digital platform to allow like a centralized data collection and a common set of indicators, which would be our, let's say, political agreement on what has to be measured by all territories. And since then, we've been working through this social balance framework. And the result is that every year, more than 600 social solidarity organizations report data in our platform, and not enforced by law, by anything like that, but because of their commitment with the social solidarity economy.
And this is also showcased in our guide, so you can find more detailed information in it. Finally, Cyril, so you're from the investment side. My question to you is more, how do you pursue social and environmental impacts through your investments, and how do you work with the social economy?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you, Irene, for the invitation. A very timely issue of this guide, because this week in Paris we have the second Impact Measurement Summit, which tells you how important this topic is for the French ecosystem of impact investors and social economy investors. FITRUS is a pioneer social impact investment fund that was launched in 2006, and we are investing in social businesses in France. But not only, we're investing in peripheral countries like Spain, like Italy, like Belgium, the three speakers we have today. So we are fortunate to dialogue with them. And also we're investing a bit in Africa. We are managing so far 3 funds. And as I said, the first one was launched in 2006, and the last one was launched in 2023. So last year, with the support of the European Investment Fund from the InvestEU program, the new EU Commission program. And FITRUS, since the start, has put impact measurement at the core of its investments when it started investing in social businesses. And as Commissioner Passerman said, we think that it's not only a reporting tool, but it's also an important tool for the social entrepreneur in terms of management. So we put the same focus on the financial follow-up as well as the social impact follow-up and how it can be improved over the years. So I will leave it there and come back later with more details on our how we do it.
Thank you, Cyril. So maybe going back to Tommaso, you have mentioned how much impact measurement assessment is important and vital for a work integration social enterprise, especially when they are in the growth phase. What obstacles, what challenges have you encountered over the years in your impact measurement practice?
Yeah, we can say that probably we could understand before or improve before a standard, a method that could be the possibility of reading all the impact of different services in the same way, because every service, every project has different target, different mission, different things that bring every designer, every project manager to involve different parameters for understand the project and measure it. But when you have to read it in a global way, probably you can't have the same level or readiness of all projects. So probably we need a key to look at the global and the system in with a little small parameters, but the main one, the good one that could help us to have a global, a systemic vision of the impact of the whole projects, and not just in the specific way. And also considering the growth that we had and the lack with the digital system, I can say that another very big problem is a very big obstacle is the capacity to take data. Qualitative and quantitative is the same, because also in quantitative that could be easier to achieve that, but if you don't have an integrated system for you don't know which kind of data do you need before erogate services, could be really hard. Really, you need energy to make this action, while has to be the normal, the common way to always since the start pay attention to some data and measure during and design which data you want to know before, and also and then when we talk about qualitative data, the doors of the is a complex system also. So we need to try to have a key, a common key for measure that and involve also the target of the services is really complex. So a road is of course to build an information system and push on the digitalization of the process, as we can also make data and bring data, manage data, but also is a way to evolve people, to inform people, to make knowledge about the importance to have some data in some point of view, and this brings evolution to every person in the process, so they can start thinking in another way, new way, in a data-driven way.
Thank you, Tommaso, for underlining the formative results also of the impact measurement process. And I think also for stressing, of course, the costs and challenges in not only generating, but interpreting data, especially when stakeholder engagement is an important dimension. So moving on to Catherine, who has a huge capacity building experience with the social economy in Belgium, and you have mentioned several EU-funded projects. Can you tell us a bit more about your achievements, and in particular, what have you learned in terms of capacity building? What works best based on the feedback you have received from your members so far?
Yes, first, maybe we have different achievements depending on the projects we were involved in. The first one was the VIS I mentioned just at the start of the discussion, and this one allowed to develop the tool, let's say, but it's not really a tool. It's really a methodology in 3 steps. And it has been co-built with researchers and many actors in the field. So we had more than 60 enterprises that tested this method of evaluation. And what's the specificity of this tool is the 3 steps. So the first one is more about the diagnosis of the enterprise and the existing situation in the enterprise, which from that part we can then formulate a question. And from this question, we will develop second step of data collection and analysis. So it's not really like you in your 3 steps, because we all have data analysis in the management phase, actually, in our methodology. And when the collection analysis of data, which is mainly based on social sciences methodology, we have focus groups, questionnaires, interviews, etc., depending on what the question is at the first. And once the collection of data has been done, we have the analysis, and then the third phase is how we can communicate on the results of the evaluation. So what are the social impacts, the effects we observed during the process. So mainly these 3 steps can be reproduced and replicated independently of the enterprises, but it changes from one enterprise to the other, since the question is not the same from the enterprises. This is the first results. And then with the DENI project, we had 2 programs of courses to train coaches, so experts that who will be able to accompany enterprises in their evaluation process. And now we have more recent achievements through the Valorise S project. And this is really, I was aware that you mentioned impact areas. In the Valorise project, we had many issues about social inclusion, health care, and also well-being of the workers in social enterprises, which is very interesting because it's really in line with what you said in your guide. And the result from the Valorise 1 can be stakeholders' involvement, but also the continuous improvement within the enterprise, and also the changes and impact on the social, so the society itself. Maybe I have time not to mention very more precise results. For instance, we have social impact assessments that have shown the impact of social economy enterprises on the autonomy and emancipation of their beneficiaries. For instance, some beneficiaries in social professional integration enterprise learn to better manage their daily lives and develop their self-confidence. So it's all because of the qualitative approach. We can stress this kind of results. Another one, maybe the stakeholders' access to social ties and social inclusion. So sometimes there are enterprises report a reduction in family difficulties thanks to the activities of the enterprise. There is a better comfort of life and the access to new jobs. So all these results come from the evaluation process, social impact assessment. We also have some results on health of the stakeholders of the enterprises, and but we have many things. For instance, the social gaps. These types of services can help people to get to medical appointments. So it's very diverse, and it really depending on the activities and the sector of activities. But it would not be, these results are possible because we have a more human and qualitative oriented method of analysis. So and we have more results you can find on our project websites. But it's just examples from now.
Of course. Thank you, Catherine, for showing to us these two projects that have really brought the conversation forward, especially at the European level. And we do hope that this guide itself will inspire many more capacity building efforts at the national and local level. So again, a similar experience in Catalonia with the CES, the Caixa de Economía Solidaria. Ruben, you have spearheaded the social balance account, which has then spread to Spain, but also beyond. How do you explain the success of this tool? And also going back to this reporting versus learning dimension, it's not just an ESG accounting tool. How does the social balance actually facilitate impact measurement and learning for your members or member organizations?
Well, that's a lot of questions. I will try to be specific and concrete. I would say that our social balance is mainly a reporting on accounting framework, but it has some elements of a label or of a impact measurement process. So what I would say is that it's very important to understand where it came from, and it came from some cooperatives that wanted to define and measure what was social and solidarity economy beyond, let's say, traditional social economy framework, which is more defined by legal status. But here in Catalonia, we said we wanted to define social and solidarity economy by the way or the way the entity works and all the criteria that are beyond. So let's say that the social balance is a way of self-defining what are the social solidarity economy standards based on social and environmental and governance criteria. So this is how we created this framework, and so we define different indicators. The interesting thing about our tool is that we have different like debate spaces where all the social and solidarity economy entities can discuss the indicators, can propose new indicators. So our tool is alive and it can be customized by the experience of the organizations. But in the end, our approach to impact measurement would be that we define all the indicators that we think an organization has to report, and we have to evaluate to understand if you are a social solidarity economy organization. And it would be very, very strange that if you have a positive grade, because we evaluate the results, you have a negative impact of your activity. So it's like it's more a global evaluation of social, environmental, and governance standards that allow us to say that you have a global positive impact. And I would say as well, that our methodology has some elements of a label, because we have an evaluation system and we give a grade from 0 to 10, and there's also an auditing process of the results. So we wanted to develop this reputational aspect of the social balance. In fact, I would say that the two main factors that we've been working on to make it a success, one is the reputational aspect, and the other one is the management tool aspect. And we've been developing some add-ons to the framework in these two fields. And I think that's what explains the success of our social balance. For example, in terms of reputational, we've been working. I would say that we've been creating these standards of social solidarity economy when there wasn't a political momentum for social solidarity economy, and when it arrived, at least in Catalonia, we were there to talk to the public institutions at the regional level to say we've been developing these standards and we think social solidarity economy would be defined should be defined as that. And for instance, the Catalan law on social solidarity economy now is inspired, the standards that define what is a social solidarity economy entity are inspired by our tool, because we've been developing it for the last 10 years. So this reputational aspect, we've been working a lot on it, and then all the management tool features that we've been working as well on it, no? Like creating some tools for benchmarking to understand your results according to your group of cooperatives or of your third sector activity or whatever. So we've been working on add-ons from these core common indicators that everyone has to report. Then every entity can go deeper on the process of improvement and learning process, on the reputational aspect. So yeah, I would say it's a mix of factors that made this tool be a success. And one important thing is that this social balance is thought in for a context of a scarce resources context, which means that we thought we had to give a free access to all the organizations that wanted to do a reporting process. So our process is free, and it's quite autonomous for the organizations who want to report. They can enter, they can register, and they can report data and get their reports. So I think this can explain as well the success of the tool.
Yes, and it delivers an automatic report also that can be used for communication purposes, as we explain in the guidance as well. So going back to Cyril, we mentioned, Cyril, that you have been one of the first investors in France really targeting also unlisted social enterprises. So concretely, how do you prioritize them? How do you identify them? How do you work with them?
Yes, definitely. We invest in companies that are part of the social and solidarity economy. Mostly we invest in companies that have the label ESUS, Entreprise Solidaire d'Utilité Sociale in French, which would be translated in English as social businesses or solidarity-based businesses with social impact. This is a label that has been in operation in France now for more than 20 years, which has a very strictly defined criteria, and in terms of governance, in terms of remuneration. And so this gives us comfort to invest in this label ESUS companies. We don't invest in cooperatives nor associations, sorry for my fellow panelists, but we will invest in commercial companies that have the ESUS label. This is recognized, these companies are recognized by a law on social and solidarity economy in France in 2014. So we celebrate 10 years of this law this year. And there is a list, a public list of all the labeled ESUS companies in France, both associations, cooperatives, and others, that is available also by region. So we look into this list in order to find some investees. Trust investors are public and private investors. They look for social impact. They look for environmental impact with social impact. And they ask, so some of them are part of our investment committee, which is composed of 14 investors. And every time we present a dossier at this committee, we always have these questions like, does the project serve vulnerable people? Does it bring innovation in solving social issues? Another question. So it's not how much return are we making, okay? It's what kind of social impact does the project have? Of course, we focus also on the profitability of the project, of maintaining its profitability, but this is not the core of the investment. We put at the same level the environmental and social impact. I will give you an example. One of the projects we invested in last year in the new fund I mentioned, dedicated to inclusion. It was an Italian company based in Torino called Homes for All. They are doing social housing, and first they help the city of Torino to house people that have been expelled from their home for different reasons, and mostly very vulnerable people. So they have some flats and some houses that can be helpful. They do some social coaching and social accompaniment of these families in order for them to go back to normal life. And second, they're very innovative because it's one of the first experiments of payment by results in Italy. Social impact bonds have not been launched in Italy compared to France, where we have an important amount of social impact bonds. But Home Sorol is experimenting with success this mechanism. And as you know, in social impact bonds, we have very clearly defined impact metrics that are agreed with the entrepreneur and with the investors. And these metrics are measured each year independently by an evaluator. So we are very much looking at this kind of project that will improve the lives of people.
Thank you, Cyril. So another example of companies and projects working really on the field and in Turin that you just mentioned, Tommaso, you had mentioned before the community index, which is another solution that was really conceived by social economy actors in Italy and is being tested right now, and we have talked about in previous OECD publications as well. Can you tell us a bit more about this impact measurement solution? Why did you choose it? How does it particularly stress the importance of stakeholder engagement? And maybe what have you learned? How have you used the impact evidence for your operational and strategic decisions?
Of course. We choose to use C-index because it's made by ICON, that is a reference in Italy for social enterprises. It's a spin-off of University of Bologna. We used to work during this year together, and they made this the C-index a tools for measure and starting understand the status of the company and the impact of the solutions that we have on a territory, but not just for an internal dimension, but also on the dimension of the territory, on the dimension of the people. So as we can say, four main dimensions: the identity, the inclusivity, the ecosystem, and the transformation. These are the main, we can say, themes that touch the C-index. And it works like you start analyzing the context, so analyzing yourself, analyzing who are the stakeholders of your ecosystem, which are the problems that you have internally, the problems that stakeholders brings you, and you have to map everything involving the main reference of the teams that are internal in the cooperative. And this is also useful because you start turn on lights in the head of the person that when a question that never heard, start thinking about new stuff. So it's cool in this phase. So when you have already mapped everything, ICON help us to synthesize all the data about internal, external, like I said, ecosystem services that we have in a presentation. But I think the main, the very important part of this presentation is the analysis gap. So there is like a valorization in a graphic way of the gap between how we consider ourselves, how we can want to evolve in future, and the status of our company today, bringing us to understand in keywords which are the main themes that we need to improve on. And this is the synthesis, I think, is a very important way for understand and have a view that is not fragmented. So it's like just a very good slide which have everything inside. Is the point where we can start to understand how to build us for go on. In fact, during since when we have this gap analysis, we start to build a roadmap about the changes that we have to do during this time. We made a strategic plan of transformation of cooperative during 3 years, and this strategic plan involves governance, environment, social, the internal, external, everything. We also mapped with ICON. So now we have a roadmap that can lead us during these years. Of course, could be changes, but we have a line designed with them. Usually they work with interview, so but there is also some forms that we need to compile, but I think the interview is maybe a really a good way to talk with somebody that maybe can help you to understand better the questions, that can brings you suggestion, that brings you inputs that you could assimilate better. So it's an hybrid form. Of course, you need more time to do this kind of stuff because, of course, you have to organize a meeting. But I think was maybe the best part of the program. And that's it.
Yes, thank you, Tommaso, and it's great to really hear how an impact measurement process could help a social economy entity that was growing so rapidly regain control over its strategic vision and inform it from bottom up. A really great example from the field. So next I'm turning again to Catherine Boilly. As mentioned, this guide hopefully will propel many more capacity building efforts on the field. Catherine, what is next on your agenda at Concertes in terms of supporting capacity development for the social economy in Belgium?
Actually, we are not currently involved anymore in any project as such, but we are planning to submit a new project to fund grants to help companies to assess the social impact in the same manner we did in a few years ago. So it's the very next more regional agenda, and we also developed now a statement note which is shared by all members to agree on a common vision of social impact assessments, and we want to do some lobbying about this vision so far beyond Wallonia and going a step further in European area. So our agenda is more now focused on Europe, but we don't have very concrete actions now to share with you. But we are really convinced that we have now to go to Europe to develop and to promote a different vision of impact and to integrate more human qualitative criteria. And maybe I insist on that, but people have to be aware also that we integrate in our method quantitative data. It's not only qualitative only. We also agree that quantitative data could be really useful and to give a picture, but it's not the big picture. And if we want to have the big picture, we need to go a step further. Yes, the agenda is not really precise, but we know now that we have to develop this and to promote the module. And I see in the different communications that we are not alone, and it's a very great to see that all the methodologies are based on not only on quantitative and not only to measure, but to manage and maximize. It's really important to us.
Thank you, Catherine. And a bit on the same note, I'm turning to Ruben, the social balance accounting framework has been shared at the European level through the Secopal peer learning exercises, and it has inspired a few other organizations. So based on your experience, which now is pluriannual, how can other countries benefit from this tool, and how can we foster convergence, at least within the cooperative movement?
Well, I have to say that we've been quite reactive at an international level, because imagine having 600 organizations reporting data every year and having to cope with that. So we are not a professional organization. So yeah, we've been quite reactive, but now we are working on mainly on how to share our experience and how to expand mainly the platform, the digital platform, because it's like a multi-stakeholder platform that allows every umbrella organization to develop their own social balance. In fact, we have like 15 different social balances in the platform, depending on the region or the sector. And now we are lucky because we are working with we have a project with Utrecht University in the Netherlands, and we are currently working on bringing the platform to developing the platform at the Dutch level, and this will allow us an upscaling of all the knowledge learning, mainly because our problem is the lack of resources to share all this work, because we have to focus on our region. But I think now there's an opportunity to internationalize this knowledge and this platform, and I think we are working on it. So we are more than open to share our experience and to give a hand to whoever needs it.
Thank you, Ruben. And yes, we do believe it's important to really amplify and coalesce the voice of social economy organization and learn from good practices through this sort of peer exchanges that the OECD itself has been promoting through the years. Cyril, you mentioned quickly that FITrust really has this positive engagement of also co-creating somewhat impact indicators with your investees, including in the case of social impact bonds. But as a social funder, what reporting requirements do you face yourself? And how do you work with social economy entities to accommodate the reporting requirements that you receive top-down from regulatory authorities, and at the same time, again, the specific needs and capabilities of social economy entities, which might have their own specific learning needs? How do you work to balance these two?
Yes, Irene, it's a key question. Just as you mentioned, we co-create and we agree with the entrepreneur on the impact indicators we want to follow over the years. And also we put into the shareholders agreement that is signed, we put these indicators so that it's a contract, it's in the contract, and we will follow that over the years of the investment we make. As you mentioned, reporting requirements are getting stronger. As you know, in Europe, we have this Corporate Sustainability Reporting Directive, CSRD, which is in operation from this year onwards. Obviously, the companies we target are, most of them are small, so they will be impacted in 2026, 2027. We have specific requirements from investors. I already mentioned the European Investment Fund is a key shareholder, is an anchor shareholder in 2 of our funds, and it has developed a reporting standard called KS, Climate Action and Environmental Sustainability, so which is also something we have to get to know and get our investees know about it. So how do we do it? To answer your questions, we try to sensitize our entrepreneur about this new reporting that we have, new reporting requirements. Each year, we organize an entrepreneur day where we invite all our entrepreneurs and investors. And last year, it was in October in Paris, the focus was on CSRD, this directive I mentioned earlier, because most of them had not heard about it and were not aware of what were the requirements. And at this occasion, we published a guide on principal adverse impact, PAI, reporting for entrepreneurs, so that they start understanding what will be needed in terms of indicators, like tons of CO2 emissions equivalents, like biodiversity impact, percentage of renewable energy used, etc. So we published this guide. Second, with our colleague investors that share the same DNA and same philosophy here in France, but also in Europe, we try to ask the same data because it's very important that the entrepreneur doesn't have a set of data for one investor, another set of data for other investors. So we try to agree with our colleagues investors when making investments together.
Thank you, Cyril, and thank you to all the panelists. We have a few questions coming from the chat and the Q&A. Maybe if you allow me to reformulate a bit and simplify, Mariona Gonzalez from the Spain NAB raised the topic of the impact and measurement platforms and ongoing efforts to sort of coordinate standard setting in the space of impact measurement and management. And the question is very important for the social economy. How can we instill into these impact measurement discussions that are going on at the global level? How can we make sure that they capture the how, so the specific impacts that stem from the ways of working of the social economy, whether they are, the social economic futures as they are defined in the OECD recommendation, for instance, or the international principles of the cooperative movement. How concretely can impact measurement efforts reflect these ways of working of the social economy, which brings their own set of specific impacts? And maybe I would address this to Ruben, since you have a bit more of a collective vision, and possibly Catherine, if you would like to take the floor.
Yeah, well, the first thing I would answer is that we should, I would put it in these terms, democratize the access to social impact measurement for the social solidarity economy, because the reality, at least in Spain and our networks, is that these organizations are 30, on average, they have 30 workers or employees. They're small to medium sized, and it's very difficult for them to report and position themselves and show how they do it, because they are doing a big effort to do it in a different way, so this would be more like a reverse question to all of us: how we can we democratize access to the social impact measurement? And the second, and now going more to the specific question, how to capture the how, I would say that it is very important to place the value that the social solidarity economy has in terms of internal democracy and how the decisions are made and how workers and these different stakeholders are involved in the decision making, and also everything that has to do with the community embeddedness. I would say that these two elements are like one of the biggest values of the social and distinctive elements of the social solidarity economy, because we can, I mean, there are big companies, private companies that can make huge investments on, social inclusion, on renewable energies. And if we try to compare social solidarity economy efforts in this field with them, our quantitative impact will be always lower because we are smaller in terms of, in quantitative terms. So I think we should highlight what is that differentiates us. And I think it's more these democratic processes around our organizations and all the community embeddedness.
Thank you. In the guide, we also featured the recent UN RIST platform on sustainable development performance indicators, which is a common set of indicators that includes specific indicators for the social economy that include governance features. Catherine, do you want to add something?
Yes, maybe a first point that arises from our evaluation processes with enterprises was that often they were not aware that they were part of social economy. So you have some association, cooperative, and people working there were not aware that they were part of social economy. So I would say that maybe a first thing we can act on, and the how would be to work on the awareness raising and maybe on trainings also, not also for social economy convince people, but also from workers, citizens, and maybe it's one way to do it. And the other part would be that we have some problems to communicate in a very transparent and efficient manner with policymakers and decision makers, yes. And a really good work would be to work on the definitions and the shared language we have. So what is measurement? What is management? What is impact? What we all have maybe different way to put things behind the words. So to me, it's very maybe personal, but I observed that the wording is really important. And maybe a way to act would be to work on it and on the meanings behind the words.
Thank you, Catherine. Indeed, a common lexicon is already a good step forward. And also in the report, we try to have a few disambiguations around key terms like measurement, as we have raised several times here already. We have a few questions that relate to that close inherent link between access to finance for the social economy and impact measurement in the social economy. Maybe to answer Mrs. Barris-Gwynn around social economy financing modalities, I would just mention that the OECD has been working on this topic for a number of years. Our local and national reviews to boost social entrepreneurship and social enterprises regularly review and offer good practices around access to finance for the social economy. We have co-developed with the European Commission also an online platform that is the Better Entrepreneurship Policy Tool that targets both social economy and inclusive businesses, where we look and offer good practice guidance and examples around access to finance. Colleagues can put a link to that. And finally, we are also developing a toolkit following the adoption of the OECD recommendation on the social economy and on social innovation 2 years ago now. Our team is developing an online toolkit that will also look at access to finance. So there are a rich number of resources that international actors like the OECD are working to put together. I wanted to maybe just give the floor quickly, since we have a representative here of the investment world. We had a few questions around, well, the availability of outcome payers in the case of impact bonds. But maybe with a specificity, specifically on Italy, I will let you to take this discussion elsewhere, but we can have a broader reflection around that as well. And finally, how we can improve access to finance for the social economy, as obviously it's rightly pointed out that the fiscal and taxation reform and the legal framework sometimes do not easily allow for an improved visibility of social economy entities. Cyril, do you have any reflections on those questions?
First of all, to answer Claudia Bailey's point about the outcome payer in the project I mentioned also, it's the city of Torino that is the final outcome payer, measuring the cost of families being in hotels versus the cost of families being taken care of by Homes for All and coaching by social cooperatives for the families. So this is the outcome payment question. Regarding access to finance, well, I think in France we are lucky because we have the tools for investors to invest in social and solidarity economy. You know how tricky it is to invest in cooperatives, to invest in associations. And it's true that in France, we have now more than 30 years, even 40 years history of creating tools in order for investors to invest in these organizations. Last point I would make regarding Fee Trust, which, as I said, we are investing in more classical companies with a social impact focus. I would mention that it takes time, and we need investors that are patient investors that are ready to accept taking risk for a long period. And as you know, funds are mostly in a very short duration time. We are lucky that we have an investment company that can invest for a long period. We are shareholders in certain social businesses for more than 15 years. And I can tell you it took this business 10 years to find the right equilibrium, the right model, one that is employing disabled people. And we know that this business could have failed if investors like us did not support this company in good times, but also in very difficult times. So we need more investors that put financial impact, but at the same level as social impact, and understanding that the social economy organizations are more resilient compared to what people think and what investors may think. We have in France, last year, there was a study published by Banque de France, the banking regulator, showing that social economy organizations are not more risky than classical economy organizations.
Thank you, Cyril. The questions continue in the chat. It's great to see all this activity. I'm afraid we're running out of time, but maybe if I may, I think at the international policy level, we're really seeing a bounce forward right now in terms of interest around the social and solidarity economy. The OECD ran a global action for over 4 years around promoting the social and solidarity economy. We have a resolution now at the OECD, but also at the UN level. So hopefully all these efforts, including better capacity building for the social economy and impact measurement, will really help us also fill that gap in terms of financing and private financing for the social economy. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to the participants. I'm going to leave the floor to our esteemed head of unit here at the OECD that has been working on leading the OECD work on the social economy for many years. Antonella, the floor is yours for a few concluding remarks.
Thank you very much, Irene. And before thanking the participants, I want to say that I think this webinar was very informative, very rich. I think we have all learned a lot. If you allow me, I have a few personal takeaways from all this discussion. The first one is that obviously social impact measurement and management can be a burden. It comes with strings, but it can be also an excellent ally and a tool to help unleashing visibility, recognition, and attract more resources. So I would say that it definitely worth the pain. My second takeaway is that, of course, we have heard that social impact measurement and management present, of course, challenges, but there are also solutions. One of these being that illustrated, for instance, by Fee Trust. It is important to start designing and co-constructing since the beginning the approach, that impact indicators with the social economy entities entities or investees, because obviously this creates an ownership that can facilitate the trip into the social impact measurement. And ultimately, I do believe that in a world in which social economy entities, social and solidarity organization and entity will increasingly become important because of the twin transitions, because of the many challenges that we have to face ahead of us. Social impact measurement can help positioning the social and solidarity economy as a very impactful actor, an actor who is able to deliver both on the micro and macro level, and also to transform the way in which we live, work, produce, and consume. I personally think that, and we at the OECD, obviously, we believe that it's important to invest in the social impact measurement exercise, and policymakers are also there to support this, pulling a different string, capacity building, finance, and so on and so forth. Before concluding, I would like to inform all the participants that our cooperation with the European Commission, which I really thank for the long-standing support. So our cooperation with the European Commission continues, and we are already actively working to prepare another publication. This time it will focus on labels and certification for the social and solidarity economy. And this publication will be ready by the beginning of next year. Together with this, we are working on a very important flagship publication. This is an important publication which will feature a number of important topics: the fiscal aspect of social and solidarity economy, the multi-level governance of social and solidarity economy, the delivery of social services, including in specific sectors as care and housing, and also business development structures. Along with this, we are also analyzing the framework conditions to support social innovation at national and local level, based on the analysis of the use of the European social funds at national level, so that our work can hopefully inspire the European Commission for the next programming season of the European social funds. So you will now know at what we will be busy in the next months, and I want to conclude this webinar obviously by thanking all the participants to have spent the beginning of the afternoon, or whatever it is, wherever you are. And I want obviously to thank our speakers, Catherine, Cyril, Tommaso, and Ruben, and also a warm thank to my wonderful colleagues, Irene and Melis, who have put together this, not only this webinar, but the publication that we have released today, and I warmly invite you to read it. I'm sure you will find a lot of inspirations. Thank you very much, and see you soon. Bye.